Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Happy to see all of you here in the second day of the 5th Baltic Maritime Spatial Planning Forum and the final conference of the Baltic Sea to Land project. This is Natalia Zalians. She is the experienced lawyer and public servant in Poland with great vision and experience in maritime administration. Happy to see you here on day 2.
Happy to see you again, Artis, too. This is Artis Ozolins, our experienced stage host. You might know him from the Latvian radio airwaves. And he will, as yesterday, keep us on track with interactions and practicalities.
Yes, I'm going to do that. And by the way, Natalia, I heard that yesterday some of these people went out partying.
Definitely, yes. So, after an intense and fruitful first day of our conference and a wonderful, full of surprises evening, during our second day, we will have the keynote speech, panel discussion, 3 parallel sessions, and finally a closing session. But before all of that, let's have a warm-up with Artis.
Yes, let's do that, and we can move over right here because we're going to put on this Slido platform, and just to warm you up and so that you connect to this platform where, by the way, you can send in questions for the panel discussion. Right now here we have put up a poll with 4 questions, and once all of you will have connected to the platform, we're going to put on the poll, so please do scan the QR code. If that doesn't work in your phone, you can also open up slido.com and just type in the 3 letters MSP, and you will be connected to the platform. And once we see that most of you are in, I see some of you still scanning the QR code. Let's give you a little bit of time. We're going to have 4 questions. Okay, the first question is here, just to find out how many freshies are here in the MSP Forum. What percentage of participants are attending the Baltic MSP Forum for the first time? So you can guess it's either 40, 55, option 4, whatever that is, and 75%. Looks like the technical crew was also out partying. Hey guys. All right, let's see. Well, most of you are saying that it's 40%. And I don't know how this platform works nowadays. Can we see the right answer, or should I announce it? The right answer is 75%. A round of applause to the fresh people in the audience. Very good. 4 years have passed. It's no wonder. All right. Second question. How many participants have attended all 5 Baltic MSP forums? We're keeping the statistics. We're going to ask afterwards for you to stand up, but right now don't, because that's the answer to this question. 10, 7, 20, or 15. How many participants? Let's give you some time to vote. Yes, the people who have seen it all, seen all the moderators, heard all the jokes. Probably they haven't seen the choir performance yesterday. That was something unique, right? All right, I think that's enough time for this. The correct answer is 10. Round of applause, and please stand up if you're right here today. People who have been in all Baltic MSP forums, thank you. Thank you, and you deserve those applause because you're bringing the knowledge from one forum to the next. We're happy that you are here in Riga as well. Third question. From which 3 countries do the majority of the 5th Baltic MSP Forum participants come this year? So what are the top 3 countries represented in this room? Latvia, Poland, Lithuania, Latvia, Poland, Germany, Latvia, Finland, and Germany, or Latvia, Sweden, and Estonia? So many Latvians. I wonder why. Let's see. Who are the top 3 countries? You can still vote. You can, of course, be a fan of your own country and just pick that option. That's fine as well. Okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And the correct answer is Latvia, Finland, Germany. You know your friends. A round of applause to you. Very good. Very good. All right. And this last one. Have you already participated in any of the surveys during forum? Remember yesterday I put on the told you about the QR codes that are placed all around the venue. Those are surveys that are brought to us by the projects involved. They need your feedback, they need information from you, and most of you have left it for dessert, as I see. I will participate today. Yes, if you see the QR code in the coffee break room, please do scan those, fill out those feedback forms, because you are the ones who know what's up, and we want to hear from you. How does that look to you, Natalia?
Well, it looks like we need more surveys, so please scan the code and
there can never
give
be
your
enough
answers.
QR codes, definitely. All right, thank you for participating in the Slido platform. This is the same platform, keep it open. You can send in questions during the panel discussion afterwards. All right.
Okay, thank you, Artis. That was nice warm-up. So after revealing who we are, let's see what have we done. I will give you a short recap from the parallel sessions. Let's see. We have the 6 slides from the 6 sessions. The concept of each slide is quite the same. So the template is we have key messages for stakeholders, for planners, for policymakers. We have indications what's next, and then we have a surprise, of course, as this forum is full of surprises. So from the first session, resilient and livable coastal communities, we have a picture from the session here, so you can see yourself how it was. Then the key messages for stakeholders. Communities must have necessary capacities. Yes, of course. For planners, planners must engage with strong local communities and use their support to reach more suitable results. I wonder if this engagement should be only with strong local communities, but I guess it is something positive. It's like our panelists, they thought like the communities are strong, so that's why we need to engage them. And we have the common key message for stakeholders and for the planners. So they need to have initiative, clear vision of priorities, and need of territories helps. For policymakers, the message is that all policy levels must have mechanisms to support local leaders and communities. Well, yes, maybe this sounds quite obvious. However, we sometimes forget about obvious things, so it's good that we have such message to them. What's next? The key future actions shall be linked to cooperation among different planning expert levels, including local communities, of course. And a surprise, good example. Local action groups are a very important player in shaping the resilience of coastal communities. So, simple message, remember about coastal communities. Then, second session, integrating ecosystem services into MSP. I must tell you that they have a very vivid discussion during this session. It was about qualitative and quantitative things, and they were arguing even. So it was a nice session. What we see here in the picture, there was a question. How do you interpret the ecosystem services concept in marine context? So the answers are given by practitioners, I believe. So the concept for protection of marine ecosystem, the concept for assessing economic benefits and boosting blue economy, concept for enhancing social benefits and justice, and the most common understanding, I would say, it would be the fourth one, the concept for informing MSP and governance through revealing trade-off between different uses of the sea. It's like a business approach. So, what are the key messages for stakeholders? Ecosystem services make visible the multiple benefits from biodiversity and nature conservation, and they allow to look at a problem as a resource. For example, eutrophication as input for mussel farming. Well, we will have a person whose job is to combat eutrophication, so I think I need to ask this person what he thinks about this concept. For planners, key message is to find pragmatic solutions where methods are evolving and data are sparse. And for policymakers, ecosystem services information have good potential for evidence-based decision-making and justifying restoration measures. What's next? To go from simple qualitative mapping of ecosystem services to quantifying processes underlying their supply. Well, that was this vivid discussion about, because someone said, we need numbers. Then another person said, well, what do we do with the numbers? Well, the third person said, well, it's obvious what we do with the numbers. And then someone said, well, you know, but when you want numbers, you need to have numbers for everything, and you cannot describe everything with numbers. So that was really interesting. And what's next as the second thing? To integrate ecosystem services systematically to planning processes. And a surprise, of course, although ecosystem services are not really used in practice for MSP decisions, the concept is recognized as highly relevant for MSP and marine governance. The question is by whom recognized, but well, that's the surprise. Session third, Sea to Land Navigator, your compass to unlock planning insights, my absolute favorite slide. So what do we have here? The key message is be bold and use the navigator. For planners, be game changer and use the navigator. For policymakers, improve policy and use the navigator. What's next? Stay calm and use the navigator, and we have here the bold and the beautiful navigator team. And surprise, surprise, people were super enthusiastic and they were interested in using the navigator, so you know what to do. Session 4, tackling consequences of climate change in coastal municipalities. It was also a very active session. They had to pick up one problem arising from climate change, and they had to find a path to the solution. So you have a picture here of that path. The key messages for stakeholders: equal access, everyone knows why particular decisions are made. Well, I believe none of decision maker was involved in that key message, but still good. For planners, vision plan process, knowledge is a key pillar for planning, cross-sectoral approach. For policymakers, change the vision from 4-year perspective to long-term perspective. Have you ever done a plan for 4 years? I believe none of us had such perspective. Okay. But yeah, policymakers, sometimes they have it. What's next? Preparedness and well-planned actions are better than corrective and remedial actions once the problem appeared. Multi-sectoral approach and wide engagement is a must in future planning. Surprise, AI is not an ultimate solution in planning. Is it in anything? Experienced team brainstorming exceeds the artificial intelligence capacity for multi-level problem solving, and here you see the outcome of the brainstorming. Session 5, integrating blue-green infrastructure in MSP. Here you have the picture from the session. For stakeholders, ecological connectivity is crucial for ecosystem service delivery and human well-being. For planners, There is a need to zoom out the national perspective as potential lies in the Baltic Sea level approach. Cross-border collaboration is needed. For policymakers, concept of marine green infrastructure remains important, and MSP is the key tool for its implementation. There is a need to go farther from classic protection measures. What's next? MSP and MPA processes should be better integrated. The procedures should go hand in hand by building mutual understanding, data and knowledge sharing, and coordination. Well, in simpler words, Jan concept is that MPAs, MSP and MPAs should fall in love, get married, and evolve together. And a surprise, blue-green infrastructure, our related map designations are not always interpreted by stakeholders in a way planners intend them. And clear communication is needed for effective implementations. Yes, indeed. The last session, Coastal Accessibility, a multi-level perspective on challenges and solutions in the Baltic Sea region. During this session, they also had a nice discussion about solutions in that accessibility. So that is fair and reasonable. So as you can see, there was, I guess once upon a time, a poll. What kind of difficulties have you experienced when accessing the Baltic coast? Private parking land, these are the main issues here, as you can see. But I believe the answers were given by the people who want to have access with their car absolutely everywhere, and they would like to swim in the car if it would be feasible, probably. So key messages for stakeholders: make your historical, cultural, and social agreements known. This is brilliant, you know. For planners, balance private money versus public interest. For policymakers, invest to local communities without privatization. Yeah, good thing. Smart solutions are out there. Be brave to apply them. For example, paid parking. Next, what we need to do next? Use participatory GIS to map bottlenecks. Substitute private cars with seasonal public transport. That's the dream solution. Use parking space counter to indicate free spots. Yeah, and those indicators, they should be visible way before the parking. That was the discussion also about. So it's not like you approach the parking and only there you acknowledge that nothing is available. So you need to go back like 3-5 kilometers. And a surprise, don't go to Hell Peninsula. Come to Saaremaa Island, Estonia. Well, when adding one L here, I would 100% agree. Thank you so much. This was the recap from the sessions.
And bravo to Natalia for doing an excellent job. That was quite a task to sum up yesterday, but we are continuing today with the panel discussion, for which, of course, we will need your involvement. Yesterday, you were absolutely fantastic, sending in your questions and voting with your thumbs up. So do it today as well. The same Slido platform, send in those questions and vote for the top ones. And at the end of the talk, we're going to look at what still has not been answered. So with that, I think we're ready.
We're ready for the keynote. So now please welcome to the stage, for his keynote speech, Mr. Jan Schmidtbauer, Crona, from the Swedish Agency for Marine and Water Management. Jan, the keynote title is The Beginner's Guide to Ecosystem-Based Maritime Spatial Planning, the why, what, and how from HELCOM-VASAB MSP Working Group's EBA-taskforce. Jan, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Thank you, and hello on the second day to everyone. It's great to be here. I'm Jan Schmidtbauer, Crona, from the Swedish Agency for Marine and Water Management. And I will take this opportunity to be a bit retrospective, personal, and try to sum up. That's why we have the title, The Beginner's Guide to Ecosystem-Based Maritime Spatial Planning. I'm also the, the chair of this EBA-taskforce under the HELCOM-VASAB MSP work group, and I've been leading the work with the EBA guidelines revision. I'd like to highlight the relevance or importance of Dmitry Kamenetsky, also, and the HELCOM support, and also the whole group, so it's a joint effort. I'm just the chair. Okay, so inspired by karaoke concerts in Germany and a tribute to the Baltic land, Latvian singing land, we will have a Keynote karaoke today. Are you ready for Keynote karaoke? Yes. Yeah, we will start with a song in Finnish-ish. It's very to warm up. Actually, it's all Finnish people raise their hands. Oh, quite a few Finnish people. You will sing. Wait, I have to remember it. Riga minä rakastan sinua, Riga minä rakastan sinua, Riga minä rakastan sinua. And the rest of us will sing, or you will sing, Rakastan, 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 rakastan. And the rakastan means love, and the other part means Riga, I love you, in Finnish-ish. Okay, so I start with the rakastan, rakastan part. Okay, rakastan, rakastan, come on, rakastan, 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 rakastan. Come on. Riga minä rakastan sinua, Riga minä rakastan sinua, rakastan sinua. Okay, we can stop. It was just warming up, so we can calm down now a bit and move into the serious question. You have to believe in something, right? I spoke to a Danish guy a few weeks ago, and he said to me, I believe in Scrum. And I thought, did you know this Scrum digital development thing? And I thought, well, good for you. Because you have to believe in something. But it reminded me of when I had started at SWAM in 2012, and I was traveling to The Hague for an OSPAR meeting in the committee EHA, Environmental Impacts of Human Activities, and I was supposed to be Sweden because they had this group on MSP under EHA at that time, and I had prepared, and I was nervous, and I had to know which document we were discussing, and I had this little script. So when this MSP issue came up, I raised my Sweden thing and said, Mr. Chairman, in Sweden, we're not quite sure of whether there is life after death, because, you know, we're Swedish. But we do believe in marine spatial planning. Which was obviously a lie, because nobody in Sweden knew anything about MSP at that time, and only we, a small group. And I don't think anyone at the meeting really noticed what I was saying, so it's... But the point is, I still believe in MSP, and I think that's core. You have to believe in what you're doing, obviously, and with MSP, the idea of having this holistic, at best transboundary, integrated way of strategic planning and decision-making on how we use things in the marine environment at best is important. But not just any MSP. Oh, sorry. I was looking at the wrong one. It has to be ecosystem-based MSP. So that's why I'm preaching a bit here, so that we all believe in ecosystem-based MSP. And when I started, the question was, of course, because I got the question, how do we do ecosystem-based MSP in Sweden? So I found this picture at home, and I thought, perhaps this is the ecosystem approach. It's beautiful, it's about nature, it's about kind of the balance between the human activities in the marine environment. Yeah, it also has some sort of tradition. We have to link to the past to move into the future. I also had this idea. The ecosystem approach should be like a parent, someone you can trust. If you hold the hand of the ecosystem approach, you'll be safe. So, and also this more poetic approach. Why? Why? Because it makes a difference. Why? Because it makes a difference in MSP. Why? Because it makes a difference in MSP for the Baltic Sea. So what is it for the Baltic Sea? So what is it for the Baltic Sea? So what is it? It's a strategy. It's the strategy of love. It's a strategy of love for the planet, for the people, for the participation, for knowledge, for you, for me, for us, for peace. It was mentioned already yesterday, and I think we should see MSPs. No, kidding. Should see ecosystem-based, or you can see ecosystem-based MSP as a potential peace force, because it stands for everything which is opposite to war, actually. Destruction and everything, killing of innocent people. And oppositely, you can also see all peace movements also as kind of ecosystem EBA movements. Yeah, but you can also see the ecosystem approach as a cake and not a cookie, because some people see EBA as, oh, we go from looking at one species in the ecosystem to 4, then it's EBA. But that's this small cookie on the side. EBA has more ingredients. That's where you get the good tasty Swedish sugar cake, sockerkaka, which is super good. So it's a lot of ingredients, and some of them are these. To begin with, you can kind of distinguish between the what and the how. So this is the what part of EBA, linked to the Convention on Biological Diversity, CBD, and a strategy for the integrated management of land, water, and living resources that promotes conservation and sustainable use in an equitable way, with the aim to ensure that human use of the ecosystems is kept within the limits of ecosystem capacity to regenerate with regard to their structure, dynamics, and function. You see, a cake. And a how. So the ecosystem approach entails a holistic systems perspective on marine ecosystems and its interaction with human activities. The precautionary approach and adaptive management, a lot of focus is on knowledge, how we develop and share knowledge together, who's involved to create the knowledge, ecosystem services and their values, and the need for both horizontal and vertical participation and cooperation between stakeholders. Now we come to one of my classics. The whole idea is that good environmental status, GES, is the core of the Marine Strategy Framework Directive. So it's the targets, the environmental targets for the marine environment. So all planners doing MSP have to keep this guess heart and listen to it while planning. And Roxette did a song about this. It's fantastic. So we can sing it now. You can just join when I start singing. Listen to your guess heart when it's calling for you. Listen to your guess heart. There's nothing else you should do. I don't know where you're going, and I don't know why, but listen to your guess heart before it is goodbye. Because we don't want goodbye, right? And we want hello. Hello. Yesterday we discussed ecosystem services also, because some people think that to reach this good environmental status is not good enough. We need to link the value of that to society, And a way of doing that is to see that good environmental status is the basis for ecosystem services. And there we get the sustainable blue economy, and then we get the groove. The groove is the benefits in society, the well-being of the humans. And you can sing this, of course. One way is the groove is in the guest's heart. Groove is in the guest's heart. Come on now. Come on, Magda. Oh, groove is in the guest's heart. Groove is in the guest's heart. Give me the groove, give me the groove. Okay, we're moving on. So, eventually the guidelines. There is an adopted guideline from 2016, which it was quite early planned that we need to revise them when we have more experience of actual MSP. Because Germany, as a front-runner, had some experience, but most other Baltic countries didn't have that much experience of MSP when the guidelines actually were developed. So, quite smart thinking. So there's been this ongoing revision, including a lot of, knowledge from developed in the EMSP project also. And the aim is to integrate this knowledge, develop the guidelines, to strengthen the Baltic Sea MSP framework to enhance EBA, and also reflect what has happened in the policy framework since the current guidelines. And I'm going to just run through the table of contents. Yeah, I'm going to put some colors on it to make it more a happy thing, you know. Yeah, so we have an introduction, in blue. And then we have the specifics of spatial planning, kind of defining what MSP is in relation to terrestrial planning. Then we have a part on definitions on EBA, linking to the Malawi principles, etc. We also have the policy context of ecosystem-based approach in MSP, so linking to other policy regulations which are relevant from an EBA perspective. Then we have number 5, the key elements of the ecosystem-based approach in MSP, which is some sort of core in the guidelines. They were developed to some extent from the previous or the current version, but I think the core still remains. So they were a bit more elaborated and detailed and better, I'd say now. We also have a section on this available data and knowledge and data, which has an annex. You see the Annex 1, EBA data reference list, trying to show a list of this is what you should aim at when it comes to data for an EBA ecosystem-based MSP. A new part is this about linking to or understanding climate change in MSP, supporting climate-smart MSP. And the biggest section is actually the last one on trying to integrate these key elements in the MSP planning process, which you can see in this slide. So we have these different key elements, which I'll run through, and how they link to the kind of planning process, developmental plan with goal setting, defining the plan content, evaluation and impact assessment, and then we have eventually monitoring and evaluation, and we have participation and interaction. So how does this all link up? The first key element, ecosystem integrity, includes conservation, restoration, ecological carrying capacity, the good environmental status, the guest's heart, of course, relational understanding to have this holistic systems perspective on things, cumulative effects and mitigation measures. The second one, social and cultural and economic considerations, focused on humans as part of the ecosystem, including social aspects, ecosystem services, and also cultural elements. Third one, comprehensiveness and coherence. Focuses on comprehensive knowledge, the precautionary principle, and land and sea interactions. The fourth one, integrative governance on coordination, subsidiarity, to actually plan at the most appropriate planning level, or the lowest relevant planning level. Participation, international cooperation. The fifth and last one, adaptive planning, focuses on integrated approach, climate change, monitoring and evaluation, and also alternative development. So you could see this like this. We have the big box for ecosystem-based MSP. And we start with knowledge about the present. We have to know something about the present before we can decide anything about the future. So that's very important to gather any knowledge on both the environment and also on the sectors and everything. And then we have the ideas about the future. We have to have ideas about the future to plan something. So, and in between there, we get the planning, the mysterious thing of planning, how you try to decide what to include in a plan. And we have some tools for doing that. We have participation. We can let others be involved and take part and have their say on the future and also on the present. And we also have strategic environmental assessment as one of the impact assessment tools. And I put the compass there because it's quite a lot about this navigation thing. We need help to navigate. Which direction are we rowing from the present to the future? So SEA can actually help to evaluate options. And cumulative impact assessments can be part of that, but also beyond as part of a greater impact assessment. And eventually, you get this Maritime Spatial Plan, the actual planning document, the official statement of how we want to develop the marine environment in the future. And yesterday, and we need this interaction between all these, of course. Yesterday it was stressed that the planning process is important, and of course I agree. The planning process and the impact assessment is super important. But eventually, the Marine Spatial Plan is the document steering the development in the future. So it doesn't matter how ecosystem-based the process is if the plan isn't ecosystem-based. So I think that's important to remember. The eventual result is from the plan and from the implementation of the plan. But getting back to the process and SCA, a few words on strategic environmental assessment. You do a screening to see if you need an SCA or not. And then, in most cases, you need it for MSP because it has a potential to have significant environmental impacts. Next step is scoping, where you decide what to focus on. You should focus on the most important issues, of course. The main aim is the assessment of the significant, mainly environmental impacts, but also others. Alternatives is important, because alternatives is about that there's always options. There's not only one potential plan. We have to discuss and show the differences between the alternative planning options. And that's what SCA can do. You have to integrate the results in the plan or the planning so you get an interaction. Otherwise, if the SCA doesn't affect the plan, it's good anyway, but it's better if it has an effect in the plan. Stakeholder participation, climate consideration, and preventive mitigation. So we can sing this. It goes like this. I can sing this first, and then you join a second time. The melody goes kind of strange after the half part. Screening, screening to see if you need to, scoping to focus on what, assessment of significant impacts, alternatives do it a lot, plan integration with stakeholder participation, climate consideration and preventive mitigation to avoid some late frustration. You think you can sing that? Do we need to speed up? No. A little, okay. Okay, then we move to the next song. It's only 2 more songs and I'm finished. We have the cumulative impact assessment song, which is about cumulative impacts, and it's kind of self-explanatory, so I won't explain it before. So this goes like this. Impact, impact, impact here. 1, 2, 3, 4, impacts there. Cumulative assessments are up my sleeve. Do you believe in cumulative impact assessments, understanding how pressures affect the marine ecosystem components, understanding analyzing planning scenarios in the process of marine spatial planning to get a better understanding of how big and small impacts come to be. Do you agree? Do you agree? Thank you. Okay, to sum up this keynote karaoke, we have a last song. It's the love song between HELCOM and VASAB, and here I'm proud to invite my friend and MSP colleague Philip Arndt from BSH to the stage. And this song, to explain it, it has 2 dimensions. It's about the marine environment and the offshore wind as the human activity and the love between those. But it's also the love between HELCOM and VASAB. And when they were teenagers, they fell in love and they actually had sex. Well, they had a baby at least. I'm not sure about the sex. It's a consent. It's the marine environment. The human activity asks for. Never mind. They had this HELCOM-VASAB baby, which we are celebrating today. So, okay, let's see how we can do this, Philip. Yeah. Philip, yeah, can I have it? Philip has had very little time to practice this.
Hello.
I don't know, is it?
It's working? Oh.
Okay, my final conclusion. So it's all about how you do it, believe in the ecosystem-based MSP, and listen to your guest art for peace. Okay, I'm HELCOM, he's VASAB, and you're everyone. I am the powerful, raging sea, oh so full of biology. I am the ocean, I came to be. I am so full of life's mystery.
I am the human activity, oh so full of anxiety. I'm an expression of people's ideas. I am so full of sweat and tears.
But the first time I saw you, I thought it can't be true. You are so wonderful, I think I love you. My water was trembling, my species were rich. It was nothing resembling, I felt a sudden itch.
Because they say we're too different, that we don't belong. But it's all about how you do it, so come and sing this song.
'Cause the first time I saw you, I thought it can't be true.
You are so wonderful, I think I love you. Can I sink my foundation into your sensation? Can I sink my fundament into your sediment?
If we had a baby, we could call her HELCOM-VASAB. If we had a baby, we could call her HELCOM-VASAB. 'Cause the first time I saw you, I thought it can't be true.
You are so wonderful. I think I love you. 'Cause the first time I saw you, I thought it can't be true. You are so wonderful. I think I love you.
Thank you.
Bravo! Bravo! They deserve your applause. And actually, there's the first question in the Slido platform. You can type in the code MSP in Slido. And the first question is, where can we book you for concerts? Manager. Okay, just get in touch with Jan afterwards. All right, Jan is sitting already there. You know where to send in your questions in the Slido platform. Vote on the top ones. And I think we're ready.
We are ready now for the panel discussion. That was amazing. Jan, Philip, you're stars, really. Okay. First of all, yes, remember about the Slido. I want to also once again remind you about it. And today in our panel discussion, we will discuss about cooperation and synergies that we can create to make our common dream of clean and healthy Baltic Sea come true. The ecosystem-based approach is, of course, guaranteed in our discussion by Jan Schmidtbauer Crona. And now we will also listen to the perspective of our another guests, Mr. Ben Sass, Head of Project Development, National Offshore and Legal Counsel, Offshore Wind PNE Group. Welcome to the stage.
Good morning. Join Jan.
Mr. Marcin Kotlarek, the CEO of non-profit Race for the Baltic. Round of applause. And Mr. Nick Boxem, Marine Policy Directorate, Government of the Netherlands. Welcome.
Good morning, welcome.
Welcome to the stage. Please have a seat here. And yes. So let's start our discussion. And the first question goes to Jan. Jan, we all know you very well. Even you who know Jan before the keynote said everything today. So Jan, in SWAM you're responsible for impact assessment and EBA in Swedish MSP. Do you think that EBA should be defined in a law? And is there any minimum amount of data that we should gather to be able to prove that EBA was applied in the MSP process?
Thank you. It's a challenging question. I think perhaps, but then I think that the main question then is, would ecosystem MSP be stronger? Are we not achieving EBA in MSP because it's not regulated enough? And I'm not sure about that, but maybe. But I still think that main focus has to be clearer about the environmental knowledge on the good environmental status again, to be able to communicate and get that knowledge into MSP. So, because if there's uncertainty, like with the impacts on birds, which we have discussions on in Swedish MSP, what will the real impacts be? And we really don't know. Then I don't think regulation would solve that much. I think we already have perhaps enough. We should follow the regulations and try to be more specific of what we have already, I think so.
Okay, thank you so much. Ben, now the question for you. You're a lawyer, and in your company, you oversee all legal aspects of offshore wind development, including contracting, M&A process, and compliance. So, do you observe the acceleration of offshore wind development after adoption of MSPs? And also, do you think that it is necessary to establish more offshore wind sites, as we have this example in German waters when there was no offers for 2 sites? So what is your opinion on that?
Yes, thank you very much, Natalia. Well, I can speak for the German perspective and representing a private investor as a medium-sized company in the north of Germany. And in generally, and after all that love songs interpreted by Jan, I would like to start with a positive answer, which is yes, that MSP is accelerating somehow the offshore wind process in the sea basins. Generally, yes, because it's the basis, the MSP is the basis, what use and where this use is being implemented in the future. But when it comes to acceleration, there's also the time component in it. And the MSP just says what use and where, but it does not say when. So that detail of timing in Germany is developed in another specific sectoral planning instrument, which is in Germany the site development plan, which defines which wind farm will be erected and when. But when you have asked for acceleration, it's just giving the row which wind farm will come and when does it come. But what is the reason for that rowing? And it's not MSP, it's mainly the grid and the grid infrastructure. And the elephant in the room is the grid ready, yes or no? And that is, I think, the main slowing down process for all offshore wind development worldwide. And regarding the topic of this 5th MSP forum here, we have different times now, and which is quite challenging for the planners and also for the investors to handle. So there are certain market conditions which have changed in the current situation, and that is not reflected in the MSP. So, and as you have asked for the examples in the last auction in the summertime in Germany, in the past, I think, since 2022, I think renewable energy has become very attractive also for investors because due to the crisis of oil and gas, there was a huge demand for renewable energy projects in general, being offshore or onshore, whatever it will be. But now we have the huge increase of costs, we have the huge increase of risk regarding supply chain issues, etc. And that is leading to some certain investors saying on that specific sites, it's not attractive to invest there anymore. So that is the current conditions, and there has to be some solutions addressed by the legislator. And when it comes to acceleration of offshore winds, we have some instruments by the EU on the EU level, which is mainly RED III directive. But it tries to push offshore wind by somehow forward by reducing some and waiving some environmental issues. But if you're thinking, what is the main reason for the delay? It's the grid. It's not the environmental impact assessments. So it's a tricky situation, and I'm curious about the future, if that is going to be. And Germany has tried to achieve a very ambitious target, which is 70 gigawatts by 2045. We have now nearby 10 gigawatts, so it's a tough aim to build that infrastructure out there.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much for this very comprehensive answer. So I think it's the thing about also integrated spatial planning, land and sea. But obviously, like development of grids, it's not only about spatial planning, it's mostly about the actual investment. So thank you so much for this perspective. And now Marcin. Marcin, would you like to comment on that eutrophication thing and that recap? Because this is actually, it really popped out in my mind that you might want to comment on that.
Yes, so following Jan's presentation, I think you have two things to believe in. One is there is life after death, and the other is HELCOM. So if you believe in HELCOM's data, then eutrophication is still, one of the biggest issues for the Baltic Sea. I think recently there was this report on the pressures to our sea, and eutrophication is still number one together with hazardous substances. So please don't destroy my dreams and my destiny. Yes, I believe in eutrophication being the major. So
you don't think we can treat it as any of an advantage? Like, can we utilize it in a positive way? Yeah, maybe on the micro levels, like the example that you mentioned, but overall, I think we are still in the moment, in the kind of recovery of the Baltic Sea, that we should still focus on combating eutrophication rather than thinking about spending too much focus, too much energy on finding the use cases of it. I think we are still miles ahead of that. Okay, thank you. Yes, because your NGO is engaged in combating eutrophication. So tell us, from your experience, what are your examples for cooperation between sectors, with other sectors in the Baltic Sea? And more importantly, what are the outcomes of such cooperation? Yeah, thank you. So I'm a bit unusual representative of an NGO because I spent 25 years working with business. I was with Boston Consulting Group, BCG, so I work with companies, corporates, and sometimes I say now, after these 8 months in the new position in the NGO, that my life became much more complicated. Because in business, when I was at BCG and I was doing projects or selling projects to companies, I usually had one stakeholder, which was the CEO or the board of the company. And now to actually make a project happen, I need to align 5 stakeholders, which are like the public institutions. In case of Poland, for example, Wody Polskie, so the kind of owner administrator of the waters. I need to have on board the municipalities, usually. I need to have a company, corporate sector, and other NGOs, and possibly financing source like Interreg or banking. So it's a very complicated, very complex process to even starting, kicking off an idea. So that's one perspective. And I think you asked Natalia, what's the outcome? So we are looking, in my eyes, the ecosystem-based approach is kind of where the interests or the solutions of the various stakeholders are met, but with kind of boundary condition that the nature is at least net zero, or actually net positive, or as Jan said, good environmental standard, but actually the better of the two, a good environmental standard, or net zero or net positive. So I think we are looking for solutions where there is, a solution that allows companies realize the objectives, the municipalities live in a better community, better environment, and the public institutions realize their objectives. Thank you so much. Thank you, Marcin. And now, Nick, question to you. You were the member of the steering group for the Greater North Sea Basin Initiative. So tell us, please, could you describe the current state of ecosystem-based maritime spatial planning in the Greater North Sea Basin? And what are the key elements that still needed to be achieved to achieve an optimal outcomes?
Yeah, within the Greater North Sea Basin Initiative, we are working on improving the collaboration in this field. It's challenging, not so much from a content perspective or a technical perspective or data even. We have lots of sources, data, even a system which we build that we can share information and knowledge with each other internally, you run into sociological, political, and psychological issues to really make this work. That's the most fascinating, interesting realization I've had. For instance, we all work in small working groups, and they're focused on, for instance, fisheries, nature. Jan is in one called cumulative impact assessments. And when
You're singing also?
Yeah, exactly. Maybe in his working group, mine not so much. But what we're working on in those working groups is improving trust, improving collaboration, the willingness to mutually exchange your ideas for the ecosystem-based approach. And it's challenging to get all the countries to get on board. But there's also a question on the slide that I think is very interesting that relates to this. Do we all have the same definition of ecosystem-based management? That runs through all of the GNSBI, in my opinion. If you have to move towards negotiating with each other, for instance, for ecosystem-based management and planning, you first have to agree on definitions and trust each other, that you have the best intentions and want the same goals. And it's been a challenge to get all the countries to agree and also get the non-EU countries on board. And that's similar, I would imagine, within the Baltic Sea as well. And we've also been talking with the NEST project to make a meeting with the Mediterranean, so the Mediterranean Sea. And they have also non-EU countries. I think that's something all the ecosystem-based ocean collaboration groups run into with each other.
Okay, thank you. Can you tell us just a few words more about that system you have developed to share the data?
Yes, we're proud of it, so I'd like to talk about it, but it's a bit nerdy, so please stop me if I'm going too long. Okay. But it's called the Compendium. It's a GNSBI internal system that we are intending to roll out wider within all of the European Union at a later stage through EDITO and with use of AMODnet data, etc. Why we needed to build it is probably important to know is because we could have also used the OSPAR system, for instance, but OSPAR also includes the US, and that makes it already the trust issue more challenging. That's one. And then even within the 9 GNSBI countries, we still needed to build on trust and mutual willingness to exchange data. So that's why we first built that internal system. And why we're proud of it is because it's very modular. So we also, there's a bigger MSP tech group, technical expertise group within the European Commission that also works on this. It's mostly supported by DG Mare and Cinea. And they were also glad to see that this system is so modular because you can then use it for marine spatial planners, policymakers, DGs, the Directors General. My DG can even get his own profile that he could use it for specific purposes. And the main win is, I would say, that it hopefully will turn into a system that at least all 9 GNSBI countries accept, feel trust with each other, and use that as their source, the #1 source for marine spatial planning. And hopefully it'll roll out further afterwards, but first we'll focus on those 9 GNSBI countries. So.
Okay, good luck with the development of the system. Great. Thank you so much. Jan, another question to you. I have to ask you this. Is cancellation of offshore wind farms in Sweden a failure of MSP? And what should we do to avoid such situation in the future? It could be a good lesson learned for everyone here.
Yes, thank you. Can I just add a few comments on the first question on the?
Of course.
Because I didn't mention that the status of the revision of the EBA guidelines is that it has been a guideline from HELCOM and VASAB, and there's a discussion on making it a recommendation and how it could be integrated in an MSP, joint MSP recommendation, and that is some sort of strengthening of it in the policy context. And I think that's very important. All this discussion of what do we mean with EBA and MSP is very important to get a joint view on it together. And in the draft recommendation, there's also a draft checklist for how to follow up on EBA in MSP. And I also think that is we have to move in that direction to try to evaluate EBA and MSP in a greater extent. But to your question on a bit background is that we started our MSP planning revision in Sweden for, I think, in February 22, where we got an assignment from the former government to increase the areas for offshore wind in the Swedish MSP quite a lot. So we had a process, and we have these two main phases of consultation and review. And then when we had the proposal more or less ready for government last autumn, they decided to reject project applications for offshore wind. I think it was 13 applications or something at the same time for the whole proper Baltic. And this was, I think it wasn't a total surprise for us, because we had been in dialogue with the defense, because that was the main argument, that it's for kind of, the defense reason, it's not good to have them there. So, but we were surprised that it was kind of all or nothing decision, and because we had tried to get information on where could it be possible still. So we didn't expect that all places would be bad. So I think that was a surprise, and eventually it led us to decide that we can't propose an MSP with offshore wind in those areas to government, because they had just decided that they don't want it. So in that sense, from an MSP perspective, I'd say that it's a failure, because the procedure, we had to change the plans which had been for consultation rounds before we delivered them to government. And of course, it's perhaps, but I mean, you can also see it that it's a strong interest which, has an influence on MSP.
Yes, very much.
At a much too late stage. I think that's the main challenge for us, because we couldn't involve stakeholders, couldn't have a discussion about it, so not super optimal.
Well, thank you for sharing this story. I think it's a very important lesson to all of us. So it's like, it happened. Well, we have to deal with it, and that's it, yeah. Thank you so much. Okay, Ben, now the question for you. In the guideline, we emphasize the need of participation and interaction at all planning stages. So at which stage of MSP process would you like to be involved, and how P&E group could contribute to the planning process?
Yes, regarding your first questions, the answer is clearly that we, and I think all investors and all stakeholders, like to be participated as early as possible. So I think it's a must-have to have all that voices in the room and everyone's concerns, and to have that sorted out. And regarding MSP, I think MSP is an ideal tool to have that planning instrument to balance all these potential impacts or not, or wishes or something, whatever is there, and to order all that interest of all kind of stakeholders, being environmental interest, being investor interest, being military issues, and as early to discover the problem, the better can be the solution. And regarding the very very interesting approach of multi-use and dual uses of areas, for example, for fisheries and offshore wind, it's very important to have that dual use aspect in that consideration and hearing and stakeholder hearing, because the earlier you thinking about some kind of synergy effects and have win-win situations and causing different problems, and maybe you need different permits for each intended use. So the earlier you have these questions on the table, I think it's the better you can find the solutions in the later stages. So clear yes to be involved there. And regarding our company group, as you know, we have a background track record for offshore wind in the North Sea for 30 years. We developed 8 development projects in the North Sea, but that was in the early days when we had the open door principle in Germany. And yeah, we like to have that pioneer approach, and we could bring that to the table, and for example to the Baltic for the establishment. And regarding our company location, which is Cuxhaven in the North Sea, located at the North Sea, which has been a very important fishing harbor in the 15th of last century. And it has transformed to become a very important offshore wind hub. We have one very important supplier, which is Siemens Gamesa, which has a fabrication plant being there in Cuxhaven. And it's not only supplying the offshore wind industry, it's also the other way around. That's a very important harbor for the onshore wind development in the north of Germany, because the rotor blades are so long and they are mainly transported by ships and coming and being loaded and shipped from the ship to the trucks and being transported back in the land in the land by road. And it's also important when you want to accelerate offshore, you have to also think very early, in a very early stage, about the ports and the port infrastructure, but also the infrastructure regarding roads and bridges to handle that heavy weight. And it's a critical question regarding the future development of offshore wind, if there's enough port and heavy lifting capacity on the ports at the German North Sea side. So that would be a challenging, interesting and challenging question for the future to handle that. So, yeah, in a nutshell, so have all stakeholders as early on board, and then you can find the perfect solution for that. And MSP is the perfect tool for that.
Thank you. Yeah, indeed, the offshore wind sector is multi-sectoral itself. So yeah, it's important that we have you investors on board so we can see the whole picture, what you need, and it's the whole infrastructure and ports and communication. So thank you. Now, Marcin, you said a bit about cooperation already, but tell us, please, what conditions have to be met to make such cross-sectoral cooperation meaningful, valuable, effective?
Yes, so let me maybe use a case study, so a story. Mm-hmm. There is this coast in Poland, in the region of Łeba, which is currently witnessing probably the largest infrastructure investments in the decades. There are these offshore wind farms being built, like 10 gigawatts of energy. Nearby, just on the shore, there is the first nuclear power plant being built in Poland, and the deforestation of 300 hectares of forest. So this is basically the pressure from the sea or from the coast. And at the same time, in the coastline, which is like, I don't know, 60, 100 kilometers to the south from the coastline, this is an area where only 50% of households is connected to the sewage lines. So basically, the rest is septic tanks, is this kind of leaking old infrastructure in the individual households. So this case study, you see pressures from the sea, pressures from the coast, and actually pressures from land, from the coast. So what's important in this kind of situation? And maybe referring to the framework of Jan, I think you should start with a kind of the stake of the current situation and where it's heading. I think so. This is the first thing to understand what's the current situation. What are from our perspective, like the eutrophication loads, so phosphorus, nitrogen load from the land. What kind of pressure is done by the offshore industry by disturbing the seabeds, by creating this secondary effects with sediment circulating and so on. So this is one thing, the balance sheet of the situation and the projection of, let's say, the next 5-10 years with the pressures from sea and from land. So this is one thing. The second one is identifying stakeholders. So it's identifying stakeholders on sea, which is maybe easier because it's on one hand the corporate space, but it's also in Polish it's called Urząd Morski, so the marine office, which gives the permits and basically the instructions how to deal with nature. But it's also on land, stakeholders on land, like municipalities, like farmers even, like people living in the rural space, because you need to, and this is maybe the next kind of key success factor that's needed, you need to understand the logic of each of the stakeholder groups. So you need to understand what are the kind of needs, what are the benefits for companies, for municipalities, for farmers, and maybe for public institution that is also involved in this space. For companies, I think it's important to understand that we as the NGO come and understand, what are the regulatory requirements, what are potentially the benefits, like thinking of the offshore. For example, I know this is a very kind of early stage of development, but in Sweden there is this technology of using wind power, offshore wind power for reoxygenation of the seabed. So can actually the negative prices for offshore power generation in the future after the contracts for differences will terminate, can they be used for the purpose of the nature? Is there some other incentives, or can we help somehow address the risk that the companies face? The municipalities, they usually are driven by willingness to win the next election. So what do we bring as the benefit, what they need to basically demonstrate to their communities, to their local voters, as the benefit of the intervention? They want to show, the improvement of health of their communities. So the water quality on land will be better if they implement modernization of the wastewater treatment plants. Then farmers, what are the benefits to the farmers? So actually, again, it's thinking of the kind of what is important to each of the stakeholder groups, and then developing the narrative and developing the solutions to each of the group that are kind of binding all of them, but not necessarily in the same narrative, but in different ones. And maybe two things, last but not least. One is this measurement, reporting, verification. I think it's very important to engage all stakeholders, especially companies, so that they see, what's the impact initially and what will be the impact after implementation of the interventions. So how much in the credible way this will be bringing in terms of the nature outcome. And last but not least, I'm a believer, coming to the beliefs, in mobilizing non-public money. I think this is the next big thing for nature restoration. And like nature credits, I think for various stakeholders, it would be great if this kind of financial solution would be implemented with farmers and local municipalities being incentivized for the outcome they do, for the actual work, for the, in our case, phosphorus and nitrogen being produced, and companies being able to invest in that and having the outcome as they have with nature credits or carbon credits today. So a lot of various factors that need to be taken into account and work out.
Yeah, this is quite complex and complicated thing, but still possible to achieve. Thank you. And now, Nick, tell us, please, has the EBA been taken into consideration when verifying the coherence between the MSPs among your region?
Yeah, within my region, that's also been a puzzle to how coordinate overall the specific elements of the ecosystem-based approach. I'm from I lead the working track on knowledge sharing, so my track runs almost through all of the GNSBI, and we see almost different blood groups with all the different sub-elements. So for instance, the way the nature colleagues talk about their species is completely different from how the fisheries colleagues approach it. They talk more in terms of economic value, safety of ship employees, So it's a challenge is first to start to get them on the same level, get them to speak the same language, and then try to understand each other. There's also, sorry for again referring to the Slido, but there's a related question for that as well. It's the one about wind and nature. There's a question that almost puts them as opposites to each other, which may be correct, but it's not the way I think we're going to win this battle. So I think you need to find ways of how do you find each other in the middle and try to understand each other's way of looking at the world. So an example I can give is ship employee safety, which is something that needs regulation, needs safety measurements, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But when you use those kinds of arguments for the fishing industry, it lands less than when you explain it in terms of economic value. So for instance, when your employees are safe, there's less turnover, less sick leave, et cetera. And then they see it in their own language almost, so to speak. I think we should also start looking at topics like wind and nature like that. Try to find each other's language, keep your own morals and ethical values, of course, but if you keep hammering your own, I'm also more of a nature person, so that's why I'm also speaking to myself, by the way. You keep hammering on your own morals and values, you're just not going to convince your colleagues. So just try to find each other and speak the same language, or at least find each other's needs and perspectives, and then try to meet each other there. I think that's what's been working in the GNSBI as well, to get those parties talking to each other, get through actual policy making, marine spatial planning, what you really want to talk about, you know? Instead of keeping stuck in, we don't understand each other, I have my own perspective, you have yours, stay in your own lane almost.
Yeah, definitely. So yes, it's like you need to engage not only your intelligence, but also your emotional intelligence to achieve what you want. Okay, thank you for pointing to the Slido, because now let's see what we have here. Yes, you've mentioned the most popular question already. This is a quote from the first panel discussion yesterday. Wind is happy, nature is not. I'm not sure it was exactly what was said, but I think it's the nature of this comment here. So what can the wind industry do to accelerate EBA and positively contribute to marine nature as well? And I'm looking at Ben because Ben is here to speak for the wind industry. What do you think about it?
Yeah, I know that question regarding the discussion from the last decades in Germany regarding the site development plan and all that conflict between nature interest and some kind of investment interest and energy sector interest. I can't answer that to the very deeps of the substance of that question, because it's all about which interest should rule or should win in the end. So I cannot answer that. In principle, I think the industry is aware of its impact and tries to reduce it and to minimize it as much as possible. And I think it has to be addressed within the whole process regarding the planning and which and where and in what kind of amount. And that question and the substance of the question has also been answered in Germany by the German legislator, because it says that we have a certain privilege for offshore wind regarding the public interest becoming as an energy producing sector. That does not mean that every time offshore wind wins about the consideration of nature interest. That is not the fact. And there has been also, regarding the cake example of Jan, there has also been sometimes bitter piece of the cake where some kind of an offshore wind area which has to be considered in the past as feasible for offshore wind, and it turned out due to environmental interest, which is not the case, and there have some been not implementing and not permitting cases on that, on the first idea, mainly feasible areas, but it turned out they are not due to environmental issues. So, yeah, coming back, I think and also the question is what should be the alternative? If it's not renewable energy, we are, and I think most of us are, some kind of passionate for nature, but also for renewable energy. And I think fossil fuels and atomic power is maybe, has to be well thought about, because it has also impacts. So, that is maybe my ideas and statements, but it's, I think, not the expected answer, but maybe the colleagues have some other answers to that.
Thank you so much. We have 40 seconds left, so last word to Jan. We had a short answer to the second popular question. It was given by Nick, so let's go to the third one. Do we all believe, let's go to the second one now. It popped to the second place. What governance innovations are needed to integrate EBA across offshore wind, fisheries, marine conservation in the Baltic Sea? Jan, tough one for you. Just grab the,
Let's see, perhaps it links to the question about the sector inclusion in EBA, that we need stronger linkages between MSP and sectors, because I agree totally on that. We can't have EBA in MSP, but not in the sectors, because the sectors is kind of the basis and the interaction with the planning. So, but how could you strengthen that? I think, in the EU, EBA is mentioned, I think, in the fisheries policy and also in the MSFD. So not really sure about the offshore wind, but offshore wind is also regulated through impact assessments at project level. And I know in Germany there's a system with this hierarchy, MSP, sector planning, project planning. So, the question of if we need and which innovations that should be, I don't know, something that forces everyone to speak to each other more, or a law from the European Union. I think that's the solution.
Oh, okay.
You can do it.
Maybe
I give you
a song.
1 year.
Maybe a popular song created by European Union. And now, Nick, yes, please.
Yes, I'll keep it very short, but I was very impressed yesterday by the presentation of the Land-to-Sea Navigator system. If you at least used a similar system, like make it mandatory in your governance, like used, and I would recommend actually using this one, but I was really impressed. I'm also going to recommend we start using it in the North Sea as well. Then you can at least have all the same categories, checklists, etc., all that you need to think about, which is part of governance, at least that you know what you're talking about and agree on this is what we should be thinking of. So. Similar to the compendium in the GNSPI, but more on the actual marine spatial planning, you know?
Thank you so much. I think Baltic Sea Land Project is very happy now. Yeah. Thank you so much for this fruitful and very interesting discussion.
A round of applause to the lady and the gentleman.